Hello and welcome back to Global English Podcast, the place where we break down English for you. We turn all that linguistic confusion into clarity and really help you master the most useful language skills for real life, not just for tests. I'm your host, Jordan.
And I'm Taylor. Good to see you, everyone. It is truly fantastic to be diving into a topic that, believe it or not, is probably the single greatest predictor of future fluency.
Absolutely. Today we are focusing on mastering the most fundamental, the most low stress, and frankly, the most essential conversation you can have in English. We're talking about describing your daily routine. We're going from that precise moment your alarm screams at you in the morning all the way to that final thought you have before you drift off to sleep.
We've taken a whole stack of sources, from classic grammar guides to these really detailed transcripts of real-life wellness and productivity routines. And our mission today is pretty ambitious. We're aiming for total automaticity.
Automaticity. I like that.
Yeah, we want to stop that slow, painful process where you're translating your day in your head sentence by sentence. And instead, we want to help you start speaking your routine naturally, automatically, and most importantly, accurately.
And the reason this topic is so powerful, this is sort of the problem hook for today, is pretty obvious, isn't it? As one of our sources pointed out, your day is real. It happens to you every single day.
Right.
It's your life.
Exactly. You don't need to know complex vocabulary about history or science or politics to talk about your life. You just need the simple, reliable language of habit.
That's it. It's the ultimate low-stress linguistic environment. And our core goal here is to establish this topic, the daily routine, as your essential linguistic anchor.
A linguistic anchor. What do you mean by that?
Well, think of it this way. If you master the simple present tense for your routine today, you instantly unlock the ability to talk about the past and future.
Oh, I see.
You just describe yesterday's routine for the simple past, or you describe tomorrow's schedule for the simple future. It's the same core structure. It's the linguistic blueprint for your life. That's amazing. And we are going to build that foundation today with extreme precision. And to keep you hooked through this massive deep dive, later on, we're going to spend some serious time on the one grammatical structure that trips up almost everyone.
Oh, yes.
We call it the S rule, but we're going to dissect the 3 different ways that that tiny hat that the third-person verb must wear can actually sound.
That pronunciation detail is such a key marker of B1 fluency, and we will not skip it. Also, speaking of mornings, we'll dive deep into whether you, the listener, are an early bird or maybe more of a night owl, and we'll teach you the high-value vocabulary to describe your personal energy levels.
Perfect. But before we launch this deep dive and begin that granular dissection, we have a quick task for you. This is the part where we ask you, right now, to please subscribe to Global English Podcast and like this episode. It is mandatory. We really do appreciate it.
We do.
Okay, let's unpack this crucial foundation, the simple present tense. We need to go microscopic here.
Okay, let's start at the absolute foundation, M1 concept dissection. We are talking about the simple present tense, or as I like to call it, the grammar of habit.
The grammar of habit. That sounds very precise. But, practically speaking, for our listener who's just trying to talk about their everyday life, what are the main jobs of this tense?
It covers 3 primary domains. First, and this is the most important one for our deep dive today, it's for repeated actions. So things you do regularly, consistently, habitually. For example, I brush my teeth every morning.
Right, that's the routine part. Makes sense. What else?
Second, it covers scheduled events. These are fixed things that happen on a timeline, kind of regardless of who is doing them. For instance, the bus leaves the station at 6 a.m.
Ah, so it's not just my personal actions. It's for things in the world that are fixed and reliable.
Exactly. And third, it's for things that are always true, general facts. Things like the Earth orbits the sun or water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. It just captures a general, reliable truth.
So that sense of consistency is definitely the key, right?
It is.
Can you give us a really good analogy so the listener can grasp the difference between this consistent, repeated action versus something that's happening right now? Because that confusion between the simple present and the present continuous, it's constant.
It absolutely is. I think the analogy that sticks the best is this. The simple present tense is like a train schedule.
Okay, a train schedule.
Train schedule is fixed, it's reliable, it's habitual. It tells you that the 9:00 a.m. train leaves at 9:00 a.m. every single day. That is the repeated truth.
That's the constant, the habit. It's written down on paper.
Precisely. Now contrast that with the present continuous, the tense for actions happening at this very moment. The present continuous is the actual physical train. It's moving down the tracks, the engine is humming, the wheels are turning right now.
Okay, so if I say I work, That means I have a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's my habit. I do it consistently every weekday.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say I am working, that means I'm doing the action at this precise moment. I'm sitting at my desk, I'm typing.
You have nailed the comparison perfectly. I work is the fixed status. I am a working person. It's my profession. That's true today, yesterday, and probably tomorrow.
Right.
But if someone calls you and asks what you're doing, you say, I'm working right now because the train is currently moving. Our sources really stress this difference between I work, the permanent habit, and I am working, the temporary action, as a critical comprehension point for B1 learners.
That makes perfect sense. It's about the general truth versus the temporary moment. I'm going to remember that train schedule analogy. That needs to stick.
Now let's move to the most critical, most often forgotten, and linguistically most complex rule in the simple present, the third person singular.
The dreaded S.
The dreaded S. When the subject is he, she, or it, we must add an S or EES to the verb. For example, she likes to sleep.
Okay, so why is this S so easily forgotten by learners? You called it a cognitive burden. I want to explore that. Why is it so hard to remember?
Well, when you're speaking quickly, your brain has a lot of jobs to do, right? It's identifying the subject-verb-object structure, it's recalling the vocabulary, and it's focusing on pronunciation, all at the same time. That little S at the end is just a tiny piece of grammar that doesn't really change the meaning of the verb.
Right. He walks and he walks mean the same thing in terms of the action.
Exactly. So the brain, which is focused on just getting the meaning across, kind of views it as optional, and so it often drops it in the heat of a real-time conversation.
So it's a detail of accuracy rather than pure comprehension. And the pedagogical sources, they call failing to use it a fundamental accuracy error.
They do, because it clearly marks the speaker as not having fully internalized the core structure of English. We need that tiny hat analogy to make it stick.
The tiny hat. Tell me more.
The S is like a tiny hat or a badge that the verb must wear. Think of the subject he, she, or it as an important person, a VIP. When the verb accompanies this VIP, it has to show respect by wearing the badge, the S.
I love that. So I like coffee. But when we talk about Brandon, the VIP, in his own routine, we have to remember the hat. He finishes, his wife feeds.
Exactly. Look at Brandon's routine from our sources. He finishes work around 6 p.m. The verb is finish, but because the subject is he, it wears the ACS badge finishes.
Okay.
Then his wife feeds their cats. His wife is a she, another VIP, so the verb feed must wear the ACS feeds.
Okay, let's dive into the B1 level depth here, because it's not just about writing the S, it's about saying the S. You mentioned 3 different pronunciations of that tiny hat. Can we spend some time on this? This is crucial for sounding fluent.
Absolutely. This is so important. The S badge actually has 3 distinct sounds, and the difference depends on the sound of the letter right before it.
Okay, give us the first one.
Sound 1 is S, the sharp sound, like a snake. S. This is used when the verb ends in a voiceless consonant sound.
A voiceless sound.
It's a sound where your vocal cords do not vibrate, like P, T, K, F, just air.
Okay.
For example, the verb walk ends in K, so she walks sounds like oaks, another one. Stop ends in P. So he stops sounds like steps. Sharp sound.
Got it. Sharp consonant, sharp S. What's the second sound?
Sound 2 is Z, the buzzing sound, like a bee. Zzz.
This one is much more common. It's used when the verb ends in a vowel sound, like in see or go, or a voiced consonant sound.
And a voice sound is where your vocal cords do vibrate.
Yes. Put your hand on your throat. Sounds like B, D, G, L, M, N, R. You'll feel a vibration.
Okay.
So, for example, drive ends in a vowel sound. He drives sounds like dravs. The verb read ends in D. She reads sounds like rizzes. Live ends in V. It lives sounds like lives. It's a soft buzz.
Wait a minute. So when I say he works, that's an S sound, but when I say he lives, it's a Z sound. I've never consciously thought about that difference, but I realize I do pronounce them differently.
That's the beauty of deep practice. Native speakers do it automatically. But when learners try to force an S sound onto every verb, it can sound a little unnatural. That Z sound is crucial for smooth, fluent speech.
Mind blown. Okay, what about the third sound? The one where we add a whole syllable? Sound 3 is S, the sizzling sound. Think of bacon in a pan. This is the easiest one to spot and maybe the most important for clarity. We use this when the verb already ends in a sound that sizzles.
Like what?
Like S, Z, resh, DJ. If we just try to add an S or Z to those, it would be impossible to hear. So we have to add an extra syllable, S.
Can you give some examples?
Of course. The verb watch ends in tase. So she watches. It sounds like a rotates. 2 syllable.
Right.
The verb finish ends in so. He finishes. Sounds like Cass again, 2 syllables. Finish is.
Wow, that is an amazing level of detail. Knowing that the S badge has 3 sounds, sharp S, buzzing Z, and sizzling S, that really is the definition of moving from A1 recognition to B1 automaticity. We'll come back to this in the pop quiz for sure.
Now let's flip that structure and make these habits negative.
Okay.
Here, we introduce our powerful auxiliary verbs, do not or don't, and does not or doesn't.
This is where we bring in the grammar police.
Yeah.
Suddenly we have 2 verbs in the sentence, and the learner has to know which one is the boss.
Precisely. And this is the crucial comparison point. When do or does is in the sentence, the main verb must go back to its base form. It loses the S hat. It drops the tense burden.
Right. And the common mistake we hear is something like, he doesn't drive.
All the time. The learner is desperate to keep that third person S in there, but it's redundant. It's not needed.
Why not? Why is it redundant?
It's redundant because the auxiliary verb does is already carrying that third person identity. Think about it. Does is just the verb do wearing the S hat. So we need to clarify this transfer of responsibility. I call dodos the grammar police.
The grammar police. Okay.
They are the officers arriving on the scene to handle the negative or the question. They are responsible for carrying the full tense burden and identifying the subject. And because the grammar police are there, handling the structure, the main verb is free of responsibility. It can just relax. It goes back to its simple base form.
Okay, so the main verb gets a break. It's safe. The grammar police says he does not drive. Not drives. Drive.
Exactly. And the distinction is very clean. For I, you, we, they, we use do not, or the contraction don't. I don't drive. And for our tricky third-person singular subjects, he, she, it, we use does not, or the contraction doesn't. She doesn't eat meat. It doesn't rain here.
But wait a second. If Dudos acts as the police, why does the most famous English verb of all, the verb to be, refuse the police's help? Is it because to be is just, I don't know, stronger or fundamentally different?
That's a fantastic probe, and you've hit on the answer. The reason to be doesn't use the grammar police is precisely because it is fundamentally different. To be doesn't describe an action. It describes a state of being. It is an incredibly powerful, self-sufficient verb. It handles its own negation and its own questions internally. It doesn't need a partner.
So it's the exception that proves the rule for all the other action verbs.
Perfectly said.
Okay, that distinction is really helpful. So when we're forming questions for standard action verbs, we follow the grammar police rule.
Correct. Questions in the simple present follow a very consistent pattern. You just put the auxiliary verb, do or does, right at the start of the sentence before the subject. This is called inversion.
For instance, does he drive or do they drive?
Yes. The structure is clean, auxiliary plus subject plus base verb.
And what about our exception, the verb to be? How does it form a question if it ignores the auxiliary verb?
It does its own simple inversion. Am, is, or are just moves to the front of the sentence. So instead of you are here, it becomes are you here? Instead of he is tired, it becomes is he tired? You just switch the subject and the verb to be.
This contrast is so essential. We use dodos for actions, but we use iskar for states and descriptions. Let's practice some real-world A1 question prompts that our listeners might hear, when talking about their routines.
Perfect idea. Let's differentiate between the two types. First, for actions, using dodos. What time do you usually leave the house? How often does your wife cook dinner? Do you feel tired after lunch? And now for states, using to be. Are you busy this morning? Is your commute stressful? Are the lights in your office bright?
That repetition of the 2 distinct patterns is exactly what our listeners need for total automaticity. Okay, now that we've locked down the grammar of consistency, let's apply it to the most consistent thing in our lives. The morning routine. Okay, let's transition into the fun stuff. The vocabulary of the morning. This is where we apply that infinity expansion protocol, M2. Because we want to take simple A1 vocabulary and learn it so deeply that you achieve true automaticity. We start with the first dilemma of the day. Wake up versus get up.
This is a critical comparison. It causes so much unnecessary confusion.
It does. Why do English speakers have 2 different words for essentially the start of the day? It seems redundant.
It does seem redundant, but the difference is subtle and functionally essential for an accurate description of your morning. Wake up is the internal process. Your eyes open, your brain becomes conscious, as one of our sources put it. Wake up is in your head. It's a state transition.
So my consciousness starts. The alarm has sounded, but I'm still lying there debating whether I can skip my workout.
Exactly. You are awake, but you are not up. Get up is the physical action of leaving the bed. Get up is with your body. You can wake up at 6:00 a.m., but not get up until 6:30 a.m. after pressing the snooze button twice.
That clarifies the distinction perfectly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's apply M2 and do some example looping for the phrasal verb DE, to really solidify its different uses.
Ready. And we'll analyze each one briefly so the context really sticks.
Okay.
Number 1, a formal example. The committee gets up precisely at 9 a.m. to address the board members.
Okay, so here it means they formally stand up, maybe from a sitting position. It sounds important.
It does. It implies gravity and respect. Number 2, casual. Did you finally get up? It's noon. You slept forever.
Simple. Direct. Just means getting out of bed.
Exactly. Number 3, funny weird. The cat, scared by the vacuum, suddenly gets up and tries to walk on the ceiling.
Okay, so that's a more figurative, energetic use, like a sudden, frantic movement.
Right. It's a transition to action. Number 4, historical. In the military training camps, recruits must get up when the trumpet sounds before sunrise.
So that emphasizes duty and a strict schedule. Mandated rising.
Precisely. And finally, number 5, philosophical. We must get up and move forward after every setback, otherwise we remain stagnant.
Ah, so it's a metaphor. It means to take action to recover, to progress in life.
Exactly. The depth of that phrasal verb is incredible. It's not just about the bed, it's about standing up to challenges.
Okay, now for an extended scenario role play. Our source mentioned Joanna's struggle with her alarm and her strategic use of the snooze button. Let's improvise a long scenario demonstrating that internal debate.
Sounds good. I'll be the person struggling to transition from wake up to get up.
And I'll be the internal voice of discipline, pushing the action.
Okay. Beepy, beepy. 6:30 a.m. My eyes snap open. I wake up. But my body, it refuses to move.
Come on, you already woke up 10 minutes ago when the first alarm went off. That's enough internal debate for one morning. You need to get up.
But I need to press the snooze button just one more time. It's a crucial step in my morning ritual. My mind is awake, but my muscles are just so sluggish.
You can't just lie there. If you don't get up now, you're going to lose your window to make a decent breakfast.
Okay. I'm sitting up slowly. See? I got up to a sitting position. Is that enough? Does that count?
Not quite. You need to get out of bed entirely. Remember what our sources said about Joanna. She forces herself to get up, and then she makes her bed immediately.
Why would I make my bed? I hate doing it. It's just going to get messy again tonight.
Because it's the first micro win of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that small task right after getting up sets a positive, productive tone. It's a way to get up and go.
Fine. I'm putting my feet on the cold floor. I am officially out of bed. That's the hard part done. Phew!
Excellent demonstration of how wake up happens first and then get up follows. Now, what are the key collocations and nuances for get up?
Well, we have get up early, which implies a strong, regular habit. We have get up around a certain time, and that motivational phrase you used, get up and go, which means you have energy and drive.
And what about get out of bed?
That's a great one to highlight. If you want to talk about where you are physically moving from, you just say, I get out of bed and walk to the bathroom. Also, just remember, get up can also mean stand up from a chair, so it has a much broader context than just mornings.
Okay, moving past the bed, we enter the hygiene phase. We need to be clear on common alternatives for showering. You can take a shower or you can have a shower. Both are absolutely acceptable and common among native speakers globally.
And we use the verb brush for our teeth. I brush my teeth.
Yeah.
It's often paired with a time phrase, right? Like for 2 full minutes, which gives it more descriptive depth for the listener.
Yes, and we need to detail the small, high-frequency phrases that are often rushed. I wash my face, I put on lotion, I shave, if that's applicable to you. And what about the self-care extensions? The phrases that make the routine sound more realistic and personalized, like do my hair and makeup, which we saw in Joanna's routine.
Those descriptive actions are crucial. And the mental tasks, too, like setting the tone for the day. Make my bed. This isn't just A1 vocabulary. It's vocabulary applied with intention. It's the ritual of completion, which is vital for building morning momentum.
Okay, let's push into some A2 readiness vocabulary that comes up when people talk about wellness routines. I asked this earlier. Why on earth does the word metabolism have anything to do with an English lesson?
The reason is simple. It's a high-frequency concept in English conversation because health and energy are things people talk about all the time. If you can talk about your daily habits, you need to be able to talk about why those habits help you feel good and energized and functional.
Okay, so what's the plain English definition for metabolism?
Metabolism is the body process that converts food into energy. Simple as that. It's how you get your fuel.
And what about revitalizing?
Revitalizing means precisely what it sounds like, giving new energy or life. restoring vitality.
Okay, let's loop those 5 distinct examples for revitalizing.
Let's do it. 1. Formal. The government invested heavily in infrastructure to ensure the revitalizing of the downtown economy.
Okay, so it's describing a large-scale restoration of health or function.
Exactly. 2. Casual. That short nap I took was so revitalizing, I feel like a new person.
Right, describing a feeling, an effect on personal energy.
3. Funny weird. The sudden realization that Friday had arrived had a highly revitalizing effect on the entire sleepy office.
Huh. A metaphorical boost of energy from an emotional trigger. I like that one.
4. Historical. After the war, the nation began the massive effort of revitalizing its ruined cities and cultural centers.
Similar to the formal one, but about restoring a large damaged entity.
Yes. And 5. Philosophical. Spending time in nature always offers a profound and revitalizing experience for the soul beyond just physical rest.
I see how it's not just about physical energy, but about restoring something, a city, an economy, or even your soul. Now for an extended role play. Let's discuss Erin's habit from our sources. Drinking room temperature water with lemon.
Let's do it.
I'm always so sluggish in the morning. I feel like I need a massive coffee just to function, but then I always crash later.
That's because coffee gives you that sudden spike and drop. You should try Erin's habit. She drinks a full glass of room temperature water with lemon first thing.
Does plain water really help that much? I thought I needed caffeine to, kickstart my metabolism.
Well, according to her routine, that water helps jumpstart her metabolism more gently and critically. It keeps her hydrated right away. That immediate hydration is highly revitalizing.
So the goal isn't just a jolt of energy, it's functional health. I can see how that would give you a lighter, fresher energy boost instead of that quick crash from too much caffeine.
Exactly. It has a revitalizing effect on your internal systems. It sets a positive, healthy tone for the whole day and helps you sustain your energy better than a sudden jolt.
I should try that. I really need to move away from feeling so sluggish every morning.
Fantastic. Now for collocations and nuances for these words. With metabolism, the key verb phrases are boost your metabolism, or kickstart your metabolism, or sometimes slow your metabolism. For revitalizing, it's often used as an adjective, a feeling of being revitalizing or talking about a revitalizing effect. And remember, sluggish is a great A2 alternative for feeling low on energy.
Now for 2 more concepts often paired together, mindfulness and intentions. Are these truly A1 words? Or are we giving our B1 listeners some high-value phrases to prepare them for deeper conversations?
We are absolutely pushing into A2 readiness vocabulary here, but they are high value because they come up so often in conversations about modern productivity and emotional well-being.
Okay, so what's the simplest A1-friendly definition of mindfulness?
Mindfulness is simply paying close attention to the present moment. It's focusing on what is happening right now, the taste of your tea, the feeling of your feet on the floor, and not worrying about the past or your future to-do list.
And intentions.
Intentions are plans or purposes for what you want to do. They are the conscious goals you set for your actions and your mindset for the day.
Can you detail Evan's routine from the sources, showing how these 2 words work together?
Sure. Evan practices a 10-minute meditation session in the morning. The action of focusing solely on his breathing, that is the core act of mindfulness. And the goal of this practice is to clear his mind and set positive intentions for the day. He's consciously deciding, my intention today is to be patient, or my intention is to focus completely on my top 3 tasks.
That's a very purposeful start. It prevents him from feeling like he's just reacting to whatever the day throws at him.
Exactly. Okay, let's quickly list the basic food vocabulary our sources highlight for breakfast. We've got toast, eggs, fruit, oatmeal cereal, or a granola bar. These are high-frequency nouns for any mealtime conversation.
And the drinks are important to differentiate too. We saw coffee for that big energy boost, a strong wake-up signal, versus something like green tea, which is described as feeling light and fresh. It's a gentler, more revitalizing way to start.
Right. And when we move to the commute, we see those core, simple, present action phrases. I drive to work, I take the bus, or I walk to the office. The correct prepositional usage is essential here. I go to work and I go by bus. Little words, big difference.
And the purpose of the commute is also part of the routine narrative, isn't it? It's often described as passive time, but it can be active. Listening to music, the radio, or critically for our listeners, listening to English audio or English podcasts, that turns passive travel time into active learning time, helping you sustain your language growth.
An excellent point.
Okay, the morning is done. We've fought the inertia of the bed and the sluggishness of the early hour. Now we're deep into the workday. Let's detail the standard work-related verb phrases first, using the simple present.
This is the practical language of productivity. It's all about repeated action. Core phrases include check my emails, often doing the important ones first, work on my computer, which is the universal action for many of us, attend meetings, type reports, and prepare presentations.
And there's a specific, simple habit mentioned that ties back to wellness and mindfulness, the importance of keeping the desk clean and organized. Why is that relevant to an English routine description?
Because the description of why you do something adds depth and nuance. You don't just say, I clean my desk. You say, I clean my desk because it helps me clarify my thoughts and sustain my focus. Adding that explanatory clause, that because clause, elevates the communication from a simple A1 list to a B1 descriptive narrative.
Now, let's talk about the inevitable, the slump, the afternoon crash. How is hitting a slump different from just being sleepy? I think learners often confuse this with just being tired.
That's a key clarification. Sleepy is just a general tiredness. A slump implies a temporary drop in motivation or performance that happens at a specific, predictable time.
Usually mid-afternoon after lunch, the post-meal crash.
Exactly. It's an inability to sustain the productivity level you had in the morning.
Okay, so what's the clinical plain English definition for slump?
A slump is a period when you feel a sudden drop in energy, motivation, or productivity.
Let's loop those 5 distinct examples for Mumia.
You got it. 1, formal. The economy experienced a sharp slump during the first quarter due to unexpected inflation. So here it means a big decline in performance.
Right, numerical performance.
2, casual. I always had a terrible afternoon slump right after 2 p.m. I needed coffee immediately to fight it off. And that's the personal energy dip we're talking
Not
about.
that feeling well.
3, funny weird. The motivational speaker had a sudden conceptual slump in the middle of his speech and forgot the entire point he was trying to make. So a mental or cognitive failure.
Oh, poor guy.
4, historical. Following the intense creative phase of the 1920s, the art world entered a profound creative slump in the following decade. So a collective extended period of low output.
Right.
And 5, philosophical. Life is characterized by cycles. Recognizing when you are in a personal slump is the first step towards self-forgiveness and growth, so it can be a metaphor for emotional stagnation.
The versatility is clear. Now left to an extended role play about fighting the afternoon slump, using those strategies we found in the sources. I want to see if we can integrate the concept of sustain here, too.
Okay, let's do it. Ugh, I'm totally in the classic afternoon slump. I'm feeling so sluggish, I can't concentrate on these reports.
You're experiencing the post-meal crash. Pushing through it probably won't work. You need a strategy to sustain your focus.
So what should I do? Just stand up and stretch?
That's one technique. But one of our sources, Evan, suggests the Pomodoro technique. You schedule 25 minutes of intense, focused work, and then you take a guaranteed 5-minute break.
Oh, an interval break. So I work hard for a short burst, then I take a mini break to move around, or maybe step outside for a minute.
Exactly. That small pause helps rejuvenate your mind. And if you take a planned break, you feel refreshed, not guilty. That strategy helps you sustain your energy levels across the whole afternoon.
So the key to preventing the slump is proactive breaks, not just hoping I don't feel sluggish. I see how scheduling helps me sustain my performance.
Perfectly.
Okay, so the key collocations for slump are to hit a slump, afternoon slump, creative slump, or just feeling sluggish, which is that high-value alternative word.
Now we transition back to grammar, focusing on how we talk about how often we do these routines using adverbs of frequency. This is where A1 description really gains B1 nuance. If I say, I drink coffee, that's simple present. But if I say, I always drink coffee, that's a higher level.
Yes, and we need to reiterate the placement rules with extreme detail because this is a sticking point for B1 learners, especially when dealing with that to be exception. There are 3 main sentence patterns we must master for frequency adverbs. Number 1, adverb plus main verb. This is the standard one. The adverb usually comes before the main action verb. For example, we usually eat lunch in the cafeteria.
Okay, standard.
Number 2, be plus adverb. This is the exception. When you're using the verb to be, the adverb must come after the verb. For example, he is often sick.
Not he often is sick.
Correct. And number 3, modal plus adverb plus verb. If you use a modal verb like can, will, should, the adverb is placed between the modal and the main verb. Example, I will never forget that advice.
Let's focus on that to be exception again, as is where learners mess up the most. Wait, you said sometimes it's flexible but always isn't.
Mhm.
Can we spend a second on why always can't go at the end of a sentence like sometimes can? That's a huge point.
That's a fantastic practical question. Adverbs like always, which is 100% frequency, are considered strong and definite. English syntax prefers to anchor that level of certainty early in the sentence, right next to the verb it modifies. If you put always at the end, it just sounds awkward and incomplete, like Judy is late to work always. It's just clunky.
The correct structure, again, is Judy is always late to work.
Yeah.
The verb to be holds the position of honor and always follows right after.
Exactly. Now, let's quickly review the list of frequency adverbs and their associated percentages from our sources. This gives the listener a clear scale of consistency, from 100% certainty down to 0%. At 100%, we have always. He always checks his email. At 95%, almost always. She almost always goes to bed early. Around 80 to 90%, we have usually and often. I often drive to work. At 50%, we sometimes watch a movie. At 30%, occasionally. They occasionally order takeout. Tout, out at 20%. Seldom or very often. He seldom drinks soda. At 10%, rarely. I rarely get sick. And at 0%, never. She never skips breakfast.
And we need to confirm the flexibility of sometimes and occasionally. They can be placed almost anywhere, right?
Yes, they are the main exception to the rule. They can go at the front. Sometimes he walks the dog. In the middle, he sometimes walks the dog. Or at the end, he walks the dog sometimes. This flexibility allows for style and emphasis, but for all the others, you should follow the 3 rules rigorously.
Okay, we've talked a lot about starting good habits, but the hardest part is keeping them going. What is the fundamental difference between starting a routine and sustaining a routine?
Oh, that's a great question. Starting is all about initial motivation. It's a burst of enthusiasm. Sustaining is about the long-term, quiet work of discipline and consistency over time. Start is easy. Sustain is the key to B1 success.
So what's the definition of sustain?
Sustain means to keep something going for a period of time or to maintain its strength or level.
And what about clarifying?
Clarifying means making something clearer, simpler, and easier to understand.
Let's loop those 5 distinct examples for sustain.
You got it. 1. Formal. The government must implement policies to sustain economic growth throughout the decade. This refers to long-term maintenance.
Okay.
2. Casual. It's really hard to sustain my motivation if I skip my morning coffee. And this is about keeping up personal drive or focus.
I can relate.
3. Funny weird. The bird managed to sustain flight even after it lost half its feathers. So, managing to keep an action going despite difficulty.
Right.
4. Historical. The early explorers had to sustain themselves on meager rations for weeks across the open ocean, meaning to physically keep themselves alive or functional.
Okay.
And 5. Philosophical. True happiness is not a burst of joy, but the ability to sustain a state of peaceful contentment. So here it's about maintaining an emotional state.
That sense of long-term effort is key. Now let's discuss that strategy of writing down your top 3 priorities to clarify goals and sustain momentum in a role play.
Okay, sounds good.
I write these massive to-do lists every morning, but by the afternoon, I just feel completely overwhelmed. I can't seem to sustain my focus on any one task.
You're suffering from list overload. You need a clarifying process. Instead of 10 minor things, try writing down your absolute top 3 priorities for the afternoon.
Just 3. Why? Won't I miss other important tasks?
Because focusing on just a few critical tasks helps to clarify what matters most. It's like putting a spotlight on the most important actions. That way you don't waste energy juggling everything at once, and you can more easily sustain your momentum until the end of the workday.
So the act of clarifying my priorities at 1 p.m. actually helps me sustain my performance until 5 p.m.
Yeah.
I get it. It's a habit of discipline.
Yes. And often, just writing a clarifying question like, what is the single most important thing I must finish, can help you overcome that afternoon slump.
Good tip.
For collocations, we often talk about things like sustain energy, sustain practice, sustain effort, or sustain a relationship. And for clarifying, it's usually used with information. A clarifying example, a clarifying question, or clarifying details.
Okay, the workday is over. We've finished our tasks, and hopefully we've successfully sustained our energy. Now we transition into the evening. We need the essential evening routine verbs.
Right. We start with returning and resting, get home, change my clothes, sit down for a few minutes to rest. Then, leisure activities. Watch the news, listen to music. And the essential home actions. Cook dinner or maybe order food if we are too tired. And the eternal task of wash the dishes or clean the kitchen.
I know that for many learners, there's a critical cultural confusion around mealtime vocabulary depending on the English-speaking context they're listening to. Can you give us that important cultural note?
Yes, this is vital for comprehension, especially when you're reading sources from different countries. We saw this in one of our sources. The difference between lunch and dinner can vary regionally. In the UK context, for example, lunch is often a smaller midday meal around noon. Dinner is the largest meal eaten in the evening, say 6 p.m. or later.
So if an American says, I eat a huge lunch, but a UK speaker says, I eat a huge dinner, they might be describing the same reality, just using different key vocabulary.
Precisely. And if someone invites you to supper in the UK, it might mean a small, light meal before bed, which is distinct from the main dinner. Understanding that dinner usually refers to the main evening meal prevents comprehension breakdown and helps you understand how people structure their day in different English-speaking contexts.
Okay, now for the relaxation phase. We are talking about two very popular phrasal verbs for the evening, unplug and wind down. When we say unclug, I know it's metaphorical, but what is its specific focus?
Unplug is specifically about breaking from devices or the internet disconnecting from the digital world. It's a powerful metaphor for emotional detachment from work or online stress.
And wind down.
Wind down means relaxing after being active or busy, gradually decreasing your activity until you are calm. It's the essential transition period before you go to sleep.
Let's loop those five distinct examples for Ian Pliog.
You got it. 1. Formal. The retreat center encourages guests to completely unplug from all forms of electronic communication. That's a formal rule of digital detox. 2. Casual. I need to unplug this weekend. I'm going camping where there is absolutely no signal. A simple personal choice for relaxation.
Okay.
3. Funny weird. The teenager finally decided to literally unplug his ancient gaming console after his mother threatened to take it away. Here we're mixing the figurative meaning with the literal action.
Ah,
4. Historical. The old factory worker, after a long shift, would literally unplug the heavy machinery before going home. And this is the purely literal historical usage.
okay.
And 5. Philosophical. To truly find peace, sometimes you must unplug from the expectations of others and focus on your inner self. And that's the metaphorical use for emotional and social detachment.
Fantastic. Let's do an extended role play about the night routine where we use both unplug and wind down and integrate those physical actions like dimming the lights.
Sounds good. Let's do it. It's 9 p.m. and my brain is still racing with emails I read an hour ago. I feel completely unable to wind down.
You need a stricter boundary. At 8:30 p.m., you must consciously start your unplugging ritual. Put your phone in another room to charge.
That's tough. I need to check the news.
No, that prevents your brain from recognizing that it's time to rest. You need to dim the lights in your living space. This is a deliberate signal to your brain that it's time to stop production and begin to wind down.
So the process of dimming the lights, reading a physical book, and putting away most electronics, is that how you effectively wind down the evening?
Precisely. You are signaling psychological and physiological closure. You need that moment to relax and recharge. If you watch screens until 10 p.m., you can't properly wind down and your sleep will suffer.
I understand. Conscious unplugging is the first step toward a successful wind down period.
Exactly.
So for key collocations, we have unplug from work, unplug and recharge. That's a highly common phrase. Or just unplugging as a continuous action. For wind down, we often use it like wind down the evening or wind down before bed. As we get ready for bed, the specific actions become rituals. We hear about the repetition. Brushing teeth again, taking a warm shower or bath, which helps you relax, changing into pajamas, setting the alarm clock, and reading a book or listening to calming music.
And you mentioned the word cozy. That's a great descriptive word for this phase. It's warm, comfortable, and relaxing.
Exactly. Cozy is a high-value adjective that captures the atmosphere we try to create when we are winding down and preparing for sleep.
Let's look at two more high-value words for the final part of the day. Ritual and reflection. What separates a mere habit from a ritual? I think learners often use them interchangeably.
A habit is automatic. You do it without thinking, like automatically buckling your seatbelt when you get in a car. A ritual is a habit to which you add intention and care. You consciously dedicate time and attention to it, and that often makes it feel more meaningful.
So what are the definitions?
A ritual is a regular activity or series of actions done with meaning, care, or as a conscious practice. And reflection is careful and serious thought about your feelings, experiences, or actions.
Let's loop those five distinct examples for ritual.
Let's do it. 1. Formal. The ancient tribal ritual included a dance performed during the full moon. This is the traditional ceremony usage. 2. Casual. My coffee preparation in the morning is a sacred ritual that cannot be rushed. A personal, deeply intentional habit.
I feel that.
3, funny weird. The basketball player always performs a weird little jumping ritual before shooting a free throw, a superstition or a personal, unusual sequence of actions.
Right.
4, historical. The reading of the sacred texts formed a key ritual in medieval monastic life. This emphasizes regularity and religious significance.
Okay.
And 5, philosophical. Creating daily rituals grounds us and provides structural meaning to an otherwise chaotic existence. This links intention to structure and stability.
Now for the extended role play. Let's detail the host's personal rituals we found. The fluffing of the pillow, the gratitude list, and the preparation for the morning.
Sounds good. My favorite nightly ritual is getting into bed. And I have this silly habit. I fluff my pillow 3 times before I lie down. It just signals to my brain, we are officially done for the day.
That's a great cognitive signal. I prefer a moment of quiet reflection. Before I turn out the light, I write a short gratitude list.
Oh, that's a beautiful ritual. That kind of positive reflection must help clear your mind of any worries or negative thoughts that might stop you from sleeping.
It does. I also quickly set up my clothes for the morning. It's a mini ritual of preparation. By taking care of these little tasks now, you eliminate morning chaos and ensure a peaceful transition into sleep.
These intentional rituals are so essential. They help the brain transition from the chaos of the day into the calm needed for sleep. They are the final act of mindfulness.
So for collocations, we'd say things like calming ritual, morning ritual, or nightly ritual. And for reflection, we use daily reflection, self-reflection, or personal reflection.
Exactly. Now, our sources suggested a philosophical conclusion to the routine, focusing on forgiveness and letting go. This is some high-level emotional context.
What does the source mean by saying the night routine is about forgiveness and letting go?
It means accepting that the day wasn't perfect and mentally releasing the stress, mistakes, or anger you've accumulated. The night routine isn't just about physical rest, it's about emotional closure.
So what's the plain English definition of the idiom let go?
Let go means to stop holding on to stress, mistakes, control, or negative feelings. It's the conscious decision to drop the burden.
Let's loop those 5 distinct examples for LD go.
You got it. 1, formal. The therapist advised the patient to let go of past grievances to move toward emotional health. This is a psychological context for releasing emotional burdens.
Okay.
2, casual. It was a terrible day, but I'm trying to let go of the little annoyances and relax now. A simple, personal attempt at mental release.
Sure.
3, funny weird. The puppy refused to let go of the sock, convinced it was a priceless treasure, resulting in a dramatic tug-of-war. This is the literal usage of releasing physical control. 4, historical. Leaders must, at times, let go of old alliances and strategies in order to form new, necessary partnerships. This is about political or strategic abandonment.
I see.
And 5, philosophical. True freedom is found in the ability to let go of that which you cannot change or control. This links the idiom to core concepts of happiness and acceptance.
That's a profound phrase for B1 learners to master. Let's improvise an extended discussion about this concept. Every good day ends with letting go.
Okay. We've discussed all the physical actions of the day. Brushing, eating, working. But the final, most powerful action is mental. The ability to let go.
If I don't consciously let go of the stress from that meeting where I made a mistake, I'll never fall asleep. My mind will just keep racing, reviewing the error over and over.
Exactly. You are literally forgiving yourself for any imperfections that happen during the day. You release the mental grip. If you want a simple phrase to practice, just say to yourself, I'm going to let go of the stress for my commute.
That makes it so practical. It's the ability to let go of worry and accept that tomorrow is a new beginning. It's the ultimate form of self-care.
And that conscious moment of letting go is what guarantees a peaceful sleep and the energy needed to sustain the next day's routine. For final collocations, you can say let go of worry, let go of the past, let go of control, or simply talk about the ability to let go.
Okay, we've established the language of the routine, the grammar, and the high-value vocabulary. Now, as our B1 listeners start practicing, they will inevitably run into common structural errors. We need to tackle 3 major ones right now using our, can I say it like this, format.
Let's do it.
Okay, mistake number 1. This involves mixing the patterns we discussed. Can I say it like this? I usually eat breakfast. I often hear learners doing this, blending the to-be pattern with the action-verb pattern.
That's a very, very common mix-up. You're forcing the be structure, which is for present continuous, or for states, onto the simple present, which is for habits. You're mixing pattern be plus adverb, with pattern A, adverb plus verb. Native speakers would actually say, I usually eat breakfast.
So we reiterate, For an action verb like eat, the adverb of frequency goes before the main verb. But for a state of being, like happy, the adverb goes after the verb to be.
Exactly. Remember the two distinct patterns. I always drink coffee, adverb plus verb, but
Yeah.
I'm always happy, be plus adverb. Keep those two structures separate in your mind for habitual actions.
Okay, mistake number 2. This is about precision and natural flow. Can I say it like this? I go home evening, or I eat lunch 1 p.m. The missing little words make it sound so robotic.
Yes, a native speaker would catch that missing preposition immediately. You are missing the crucial words that anchor the time block or the specific time. Native speakers would actually say, I go home in the evening and I eat lunch at 1 p.m.
We need a rapid-fire review of the basic prepositions of time. AT, IN, and RN.
Okay. AT is for precise specific moments. At 7 a.m., AT night, AT 1 p.m. AT is for general time blocks. In the morning, in the afternoon, E in the evening. And AN is for specific days. On Monday, on the weekend, on the 5th of July.
Mastering AT, IN, and ON elevates your communication from just readable to natural almost instantly. Okay, mistake number 20. This one is more subtle, but we spent serious time on it earlier. Can I say and pronounce the S the same way every time? For example, he walks, she watches, and it feeds, all sounding like a flat S.
No. We cannot let the listener forget the biggest accuracy marker we discussed today. While technically correct on paper, forcing a flat sound on every verb sounds foreign and can sometimes be difficult to understand, especially on verbs that end in a sizzling sound. Native speakers would actually use the 3 pronunciation patterns we discussed. 1. He walks with that sharp SU sound. 2. She feeds with the buzzing Z sound. And 3. He finishes with the sizzling SU sound. Remembering that the S must sound like a Z after a voiced sound or S after a sizzling sound is the essential mark of fluency. It really distinguishes B1 learners from those still struggling with accuracy.
Okay, you've guided us through the entire day, the 3 S pronunciations, and all the grammar police details. Let's test the listener's retention with a quick pop quiz on the M1 concepts and M2 vocabulary. I'm ready. You ready, listener? Grab your tiny hat.
Okay, question 1. Which verb structure is used for a scheduled event like the store opens at 9 a.m.?
That is a repeated, consistent, scheduled event, so it uses the simple present tense.
Correct. Question 2. Give one example of a high-frequency adverb of frequency that must follow the verb to be and cannot go at the end of a sentence.
Oh, that would be always. He's always late.
Excellent. Question 3. What is the vocabulary pair for the internal process of consciousness versus the physical action of leaving the bed?
Oh, that's wake up for consciousness versus get up for the physical action.
Perfect. Question 4. What is the word for the temporary drop in energy or motivation often felt in the afternoon?
That is the dreaded afternoon slump.
It is indeed. And finally, question 5. Use the idiom let go in a full correct sentence about the evening routine.
Okay. Before I go to bed, I practice reflection and consciously let go of any control I lost during the day.
A perfect sentence. You successfully integrated 2 high-value words and a philosophical concept. Well done.
That was fun. Let's summarize the key takeaways from this massive deep dive.
Okay. Our top 3 concepts for mastery are: first, SVO mastery in the simple present, particularly internalizing the 3 distinct pronunciations of the S hat, the S, Z, and NO. Second, the correct placement of frequency adverbs, remembering adverb plus verb versus be plus adverb. And third, the importance of defining your habits with intention and care, which is the difference between a habit and a ritual.
And our top 5 high-value words for B1 progression are wake up, get up, and knowing the difference, slump, unplug, ritual, and that philosophical idiom, let go.
By committing those 5 words and the core grammar, you're instantly moving beyond basic A1 listing into fluent A2B1 conversation.
Now for our micro challenge for you, the listener, we want you to use one of the action verbs we learned today, like check my emails, wash my face, or cook dinner. Put it in a full correct sentence about your day and make sure you use the correct preposition of time, AT, IN, or on N. Then go stand in front of a mirror and say that sentence out loud, focusing on clear pronunciation.
This is the mirror practice strategy. It turns passive knowledge into active production. Do it daily, and you will see rapid improvement in your automaticity.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive into maximizing fluency through your daily routine. Thank you for staying with us and doing the work.
We hope you feel far more confident using the simple present tense now. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Global English Podcasts.
I'm Jordan. See you next time.
And I'm Taylor. Bye.